Could you give us a little, I mean, this could take the whole thing, but like maybe just a snippet on how are you and Passion City Church navigating this year? And what's going on right now with you guys?
Wow. Yeah, like everybody else is, day to day.
Yeah,
And that's a phrase I really haven't loved using in leadership ever.
sure.
But in 2020, there just haven't been any options. It's been a week to week, day to day thing. And, we had a little bit of wisdom on the front end, Ryan. And I don't know, God just helped us understand on the front that this was going to be a thing, and not a thing in the sense that 220,000 people in America will have died and there'd be 1,000 people die today. I mean, no one, I don't think, thought that in October, 1,000 people a day were going to be dying. And it's real. I lost one of my dear friends on Monday to
Oh,
COVID.
I'm sorry.
And so it, um, it's been longer than we've thought. And the only good thing about us is that when we were in the very beginning, I'll take you back for a minute. So I think
Yeah,
the NBA canceled their first game on maybe March the 11th, something like that. So that's kind of like D-Day for all of us, right?
right.
And we were in this very space where I'm on this podcast right now, some of our executive team guys, and we were trying to decide, what are we going to do Sunday? Well, if the NBA plays, we're going. And we had a home United soccer game here on Saturday. There's a couple big things happening. The Braves were playing, and so it's like, if they play, we go to church. If they play,
Yeah.
we. If they don't play, we might have to do this. And we must have spent 2 hours grinding this out with all these scenarios and these what if situations. By the time that meeting ended, the NBA canceled their game, and I mean the dominoes just fell. By the time we got back in here the next day, two or three more dominoes had fallen, and we decided right then and there we're not having any more hour-long meetings about anything related to COVID,
Hmm.
but by the time we have an hour-long strategy meeting, the whole situation will have changed at the end of that meeting,
Yeah.
and we would have wasted that entire meeting. So we settled in, and we decided that this was going to be a marathon and not a sprint. Shelly and I just looked at each other and said, we're not doing uh, Instagram live every night. We are not creating a TV program. We are not going to, now that we're all quarantined at home, we're not going to try to build up a big platform every night from our home, because we realize we've got to go a long, long way. So we've been pacing ourselves, and fortunately, we're all still here. And I think the key thing for us all is to be asking this question, are we getting it? And I don't know if the answer is yes or not. I wish it was, but I'm not sure that the church is really fully getting all that God wants us to get in
Hmm.
this. And we're about to get, at some point, looks like more like next year than this year, a restart.
Yeah.
And you don't get too many do-overs in life. And we all have gotten an incredible opportunity to get a restart personally, as families, relationships, churches, businesses, organizations. And honestly, that's not all bad. It hurts, especially if someone out there is losing their business or has lost their job. That's real.
Yeah.
But to get a restart is a gift, and the whole world is getting that. And I pray that we come out of it stronger,
Yeah.
faithful, more committed to the things that matter. And that's the message we just keep preaching at Passion City. COVID is real, but it's not bigger than the kingdom. It's not bigger than the church.
Sure.
We are weeping with those who weep, but we're also preaching a big story. And we've seen, as have most churches, a lot of significant things happen around the world through the reach of our church. And, Passion City was not online before COVID.
Hmm.
We philosophically hadn't decided if we
Wow.
wanted to be or not.
I remember that we talked about that before. Yeah.
So we just weren't sure, but we had invested an enormous amount of money, time, energy, resource getting ready to be online all of last year. In
Hmm.
fact, for most of last year, we broadcast to nowhere. We broadcast into the ether every Sunday with hosting and all the elements. I mean, like for real, it's just
Wow.
it went into the wall and not into the atmosphere. So when we did make that decision after two or three of those meetings on, that early week of COVID, we said Sunday we're going online, and we just pressed play, and instead of going into the wall, it went to the world. And immediately, you know, we had a church around the world. And I know a lot of people are watching a lot of different churches. It's not just Passion City. A lot of these people will be watching four churches on Sunday, which is maybe great, maybe not great at the same time. But
Yeah.
I think we're somewhere around 3 million people we've had at church since quarantine.
Wow.
And that's just, nobody saw that coming for 2020. So you
Sure.
kind of look at the positives. I mean, we had a gathering a few Sundays ago where we asked people to text in their prayer needs. And it felt a little bit like Christian TV, but we were trying to keep it real. And we had several thousand people text their prayer request in, and our team's still praying for them. I got a short list of some for me personally to be praying over yesterday.
Yeah.
And those kinds of things and that kind of impact and reach. I mean, real fast, because you said it could be the whole thing, but we did this Easter thing with Sadie, Tim, Tebow, and myself doing a third each of the talk.
Hmm.
And we shared in our Above and Beyond gatherings a few months ago, this family, these sisters in Wisconsin, these teenage girls saw it on Sadie's Instagram. They did not know the Lord, did not have a church that they were a part of. They came to church on Easter at Passion City Online. They, one of them got saved, or one or both of them. I think one of them got saved. The next week, the next one, other sister got saved. And then they told their brother they both had gotten saved and he needed to start coming to church online. And the third or fourth week, he got saved. And you got, a 16, 17, and an 18-year-old in Wisconsin who now know Jesus because of COVID.
Yeah.
So it's the good and the bad. It's really painful, and it's a lot of loss going on, but it's a great time to be the church, and
Sure.
a great time to be leading the church.
Yeah, you touched on, I think, a nerve at the very start where you're saying, like, you don't like to say it's kind of a week-to-week thing. And I think that's like a prevailing feeling for most church leaders. Like, for my church, we should be planning our Easter program, but we're like, we don't know what that would be at this point, and we all admit it. So what's your encouragement for the church leader that is fatigued by not being able to have like anything more than week to week for this? And it's going to be a while, it seems like, before we'll be able to really plan for anything.
Yeah, I think maybe to take the positive, which is if we're not planning and we had a meeting last week. I don't know, it had a lot of ifs in it, but we had a big Christmas Eve planning meeting and had a big creative meeting. So all these ideas could live some other time in life. It wasn't literally what we're doing on Christmas Eve. It was, here's all these creative ideas we could use on Christmas Eve. But at the same time, because we don't have a lot of assurances in the 90-day window and the 60-day window, I feel like we should be leveraging the flexibility that we do have in the short run, because we've never before really lived week to week like this. And so it means that we can flex and flow. And because we only have 250 people in the building or 350 people in the building versus several thousands of people in the building, we can flex and flow. We can switch up the gathering on short notice because it's all virtual anyway.
Yeah.
And it's just allowed us, I think, to have for a moment to feel like a home church, if you will, with tens of thousands of people at it, because we just have that ability. And I think that, I haven't heard anybody say they were fatigued from the week to week. I think people are just fatigued from the year and the cumulative effect of trying to stay positive, lead people, come through the door with a prevailing story and not a sinking ship story. It's really been a lot for all of us leading. You guys, myself, and everyone is in the same boat. Nobody had a degree in pandemic. Nobody was alive in 1918 to tell us about it and to say, oh, I already did this one time with the Spanish flu.
Sure.
And so we're all in the same boat. And the reality is that we're all where we were in March. We're all still there. And I thought surely by now we would be solving different problems, but we're not. We're still solving the problem of, are we actually going to be able to come back together as a people anytime in the near future? And one of the things we're adopting internally, and I'll say it on the podcast, but I haven't even really said it to our team, is to take things kind of a month at a time and just to say, instead of making a big decision, like some of my friends said 2 months ago, we're not meeting in 2021, done, decisions made, we're out. I was like, okay, that's probably reality. And I think that's where we are, but we never came out and like drew a line in the sand. So when it got to October, we were like, hey, we need to be having some people in the building, and we can. we didn't have to back up on something. And so we're just trying to say, hey, for this month, this is kind of the plan. We're going to reevaluate at the end of the month. And we've done a lot of that, and it served us well. And I think that that's still where we are going into the end of the year, and honestly, probably into next year. I think, it's a big hot topic, but I think wearing face coverings is going to be around in next year. I don't think the vaccine, it looks like, is going to be the silver bullet on time that we all wanted it to be. And this is going to be a reality that we're all dealing with on some level, probably into next year.
Mm.
And pull day at a time.